You're watching ABC7 News at 7.
I made some changes because I wasn't happy with the speed with which our veterans were taken care of. I wasn't happy with it.
Another job change in the White House, the Russia investigation, more details on the alleged Stormy Daniels affair, where we begin. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jacqueline Matter. Welcome to ABC7 at 7. Alan Cohn will be here shortly with the Week in Washington, but first, our top 7 stories at 7. Punta Gorda police make 2 arrests in a nationwide ATM skimming case. Fraud investigators from Indiana alerted the department that fraudulent bank cards were being used at the Bank of America in South Punta Gorda. The men who were caught are accused of placing skimmers in ATM machines all across the Midwest and stealing more than $38,000 from more than 250 bank accounts. Punta Gorda police officers say they were lucky to get a hold of the 2 suspects before they were able to commit any more crimes.
These kind of crimes are incredibly difficult to solve. They involve lots of different people all over the country doing things very quickly. Just in Punta Gorda, within the matter of minutes, they had hit 3 different ATM machines with these account numbers from Indiana.
Both suspects were transported to the Charlotte County Jail on 31 counts of criminal use of personal information. The state has opened an investigation into an abandoned cemetery in Bradenton after reports emerged of animals digging up dead bodies. We first brought you this story in October. At Adam and Rogers cemeteries in Bradenton, body bags were found sticking out of the ground after some type of animal dug holes into half a dozen graves. D. Allen Moore Funeral Home took responsibility, putting these cement slabs over the graves to stop the animals from digging. The state's investigation remains ongoing. The access panel that led to Snooty, the world's oldest manatee's death, now gone. The South Florida Museum getting rid of that panel and painting over it during recent renovations. The manatee tank was closed while museum staff resurfaced the pools, resealed windows, and did general maintenance, which included painting over the access panel. Although the South Florida Museum had secured the panel after Snooty's death, it's not used for anything, so the staff decided to get rid of it during recent renovations.
It's a memory for everybody, and it's painful for everybody, not just people outside the museum, but for us who work here too. We don't want to ever forget Snooty, but it's a painful thing.
The renovation was part of a $250,000 grant from the Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission. The wife of the Pulse nightclub killer has been found not guilty on all counts. Jurors decided today in Orlando that Nor Salman did not aid in her husband's killing spree, nor misled law enforcement officers in their investigation of that massacre. Salman was first arrested in January of 2017, months after her husband, Omar Mateen, killed 49 people and injured more than 50 others when he opened fire at the gay nightclub. Following a ruling by a federal judge earlier this week that found the state's system of restoring voting rights for ex-felons unconstitutional, several pastors and former felons from across Florida gathered today to ask state leaders to quickly address the issue. The Clergy Coalition for Civil Rights held a news conference in Tallahassee, calling on Governor Rick Scott and the Florida cabinet to make changes to the state's clemency process. Under the current system, felons must wait at least 5 years before applying to have their civil rights, including the right to vote, restored. Once an application is made, the process can take years to complete.
Society expects for us to adjust and become full citizens. I pay taxes, I work, take care of my family, but I can't vote.
Automatically restoring the right to vote for convicted felons in Florida could add between 600,000 and 1.6 million voters to the state's voting rolls, according to national voting rights experts. A Florida University student is being deported back to China. Police say he exhibited disturbing behavior and bought a second assault weapon after coming to the attention of police. University of Central Florida police say they spoke with 26-year-old Wang Liang's son in early February after he made unusual statements to a counselor. He was not attending classes, so his student visa was revoked and he was taken into custody last month. An immigration judge last week ordered him deported. He remains in jail awaiting deportation. Well, it's about that time of year again, season quickly coming to an end. So what does this mean for downtown businesses? Many owners say they see a big decrease in sales during this time of year. One downtown clothing boutique owner estimates that her store takes a 30% hit to business. But places like Patrick's 1481 that are considered staples of downtown say they rely on locals just as much as they do the snowbirds.
On how weather is up north, whether it's northeast or Midwest. I think that'll play a little role in the next couple of weeks here too.
Snowbirds in downtown today tell us they are bracing for that cold weather as they head north and have already started planning for their return to the Sun Coast. And speaking of weather, let's head over to ABC7's meteorologist Steve Newman with the first alert forecast. Certainly going to be cold for those snowbirds when they return, Steve.
And it's going to be warm here. They're leaving some really great weather once this front gets by, and it's not a big deal. It's not going to drop our temperatures. It's just going to give us a lot of clouds tonight and tomorrow, thinning out on Sunday, and some showers too, which we're seeing on radar right now. There is the front, and as the front approaches the Tampa Bay area and then the Sun Coast, it's going to decrease in coverage area, only hit and miss showers. About a 30% chance we'll see any of the overnight hours. Look at our futurecast as we move through the overnight hours at 7 o'clock. Then we go 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. About 3 in the morning, it looks like a fairly good chance, about the best chance that we will have some showers over the area. And a lot of the energy still well to the north of us. And once it passes on by, looking at 7 a.m., some scattered showers still possible. There's going to be a lot more clouds tomorrow than we've seen for a while. But it'll slowly clear out as we move into Sunday morning, with the chance of showers decreasing as well. Here's your forecast for the evening. Our weather planner showing temperatures in the 70s all evening long as the clouds thicken and the chance of showers increases. Sunday looks pretty good. Easter Sunday sunrise service may be a little cloudy, but it's not going to be damp for the Easter egg roll. Should be nice.
All right, thank you so much, Steve. I'm sure a lot of people will enjoy that. Well, still to come, Alan Cohn will be here with our Week in Washington segment. Stay with us.
Imagine a world filled with pillow fights, playgrounds, and the search for the perfect climbing tree. Every kid deserves that world, but 1 in 5 kids in America struggle with hunger. At No Kid Hungry, we're committed to creating a world where every kid eats healthy food every day. We raise funds, we help families, and we lift up communities.
Our nation's servicemen and women show great courage and leadership, both on and off the battlefield. When they transition to civilian life, they can apply the skills and values they learned in the military to the workplace. That's why the Coalition to Salute America's Heroes is urging employers everywhere to be smart, bet on a vet. Hiring a veteran is also a great way to show your appreciation for them. To learn more, call 1-888-44-SALUTE.
One of the motivating factors for me to become a Big Brother was that I was mentored as a youth. And it was important for me to kind of pass forward the things that were kind of given to me. It's really just as simple as getting to know a kid. You don't have to be an athlete. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to have any of those other things. You just have to be willing to spend a little time and help mold some young person's life.
Invest in Kids is a $7.5 million project to build a new Boys and Girls Club in South Manatee County. I'm Caleb Grimes, and I was a club kid. It's where I learned important life lessons, leadership, integrity, responsibility, and baseball. Thousands of kids attend the Boys and Girls Clubs, and after years of use, their club is slowly falling apart. Help us invest in kids. Make your donation today.
ABC7, the Suncoast's official Florida lottery station.
Surprise, surprise. President Trump is back at Mar-a-Lago today, this after staying mostly under the radar all week. But there are some big changes happening in his cabinet, including Trump's big decision, which could affect 9 million veterans who rely on VA services. CNN's Abby Phillips reports.
Mounting skepticism on Capitol Hill about the qualifications of President Trump's nominee to lead the Department of Veterans Affairs, White House doctor, Navy Rear Admiral Ronnie Jackson.
This is an organization that's over half the size of the United States Army, and unless it's going to be tough, nothing's going to change.
Jackson has worked at the White House for 3 successive administrations, but he has no management experience and, if confirmed, would take control of the second largest department in the federal government.
375,000 employees, a budget of close to $200 billion next year, and a very complex organization. And so it is going to be a challenge for anybody to take.
Former CIA Chief John Brennan calling Jackson's selection a terribly misguided nomination that will hurt both a good man and our veterans. The Washington Post reports that Jackson himself was taken aback by his nomination and hesitated to take on such a big job. But the president continued to push for his selection. Sources say Mr. Trump has been pleased with Jackson since he praised his health in January.
I told the president that if he had a healthier diet over the last 20 years, he might live to be 200 years old.
Jackson has not commented publicly about his position on the privatization of veterans' care, a step his predecessor, David Shulkin, opposed.
There were some political appointees within my administration that didn't see it that way and really wanted us to take a much harder stance towards privatization. I wasn't willing to do that.
President Trump hinting at his support for privatization at a rally Thursday.
We've made a lot of progress with the veterans, but I want to get them choice.
Mr. Trump also defending his decision to oust Shulkin.
I made some changes because I wasn't happy with the speed with which our veterans were taken care of. I wasn't happy with it.
After largely staying out of public sight for days, President Trump, going off script at the rally, meant to tout his infrastructure plan. Mr. Trump threatening to upend his first major trade deal with South Korea.
I may hold it up till after a deal is made with North Korea.
And surprising the Pentagon with this announcement about the U.S. presence in Syria.
We'll be coming out of Syria like very soon.
Before leaving for Ohio, President Trump bid farewell to outgoing communications director Hope Hicks Thursday. So far, nobody is in line to take her place. CNN has learned that the president is being told by some advisors that he doesn't need a communications director or a chief of staff if General John Kelly departs.
If General Kelly at any time does decide to leave, the president decides it's time for him to move on, I don't believe there'll be another chief of staff.
Coming up, President Trump's former main man in Florida, one of the Democrats' most astute political consultants, and the Suncoast's premier political reporter at the Trapezoid.
Okay, so what would you bring to my company?
What do you need?
I need problem-solving skills.
I got through high school without a car, a phone, or a computer.
No college degree, though.
Not yet, but life's taught me a lot, and I'm ready for more.
Well, you're not the typical kind of candidate that I hire. But you are exactly what I'm looking for.
Your company could be missing out on the candidates it needs most. Learn how to find a great pool of untapped talent at gradsoflife.org.
Every child follows a path in life. For many, that path will lead them to a door that gives them a place to grow, to learn, to belong, a place to forge their future. Because while many doors open, these doors transform. They did for us. Support your local Boys and Girls Clubs. Great futures start here.
Monday at 5 on ABC7's Good Morning Suncoast.
Hi, I'm Ray Collins.
And I'm Stephanie Webb. Venice Elementary and Venice High School are taking part in an interactive learning project.
We'll tell you how they plan to bring Earth, space, science, and geology to life for students. Monday on Good Morning Suncoast. John?
We'll watch the effect of a stalled out and dissipating cold front on our forecast for the upcoming work week. We'll talk about that bright and early.
Monday at 5 on ABC7's Good Morning Suncoast. We're here for you.
To be able to just get my son here and not think about how we will pay for it it just takes so much weight off of my family. St. Jude allowed me to focus on being a mom to Bryce. And sometimes I'm just in awe of the impact St. Jude has, not only on this community, but the world.
When it comes to drinking, what do you think moderation is? The U.S. Dietary Guidelines define moderation as up to 1 drink a day for women and up to 2 drinks a day for men. So what's a drink? The guidelines say a drink equals 12 ounces of beer, 5 ounces of wine, or a cocktail with 1.5 ounces of distilled spirits. Each contains the same amount of alcohol. Like to learn more? Visit drinkinmoderation.org.
Welcome back. So what do you make of this week, folks? The good news for President Trump, his approval ratings are ticking up. That's good. To a Real Clear Politics average of 41.7. That's bad. A new CNN poll says 54% of Americans believe Trump will lose his re-election bid in 2020. That's bad. On the other hand, that's the exact same number of people who said President Obama would lose his re-election bid at the same point in his presidency, and we all know what happened there. Joining us for more are State Representative Joe Gruters, who co-chaired the president's campaign in Florida, Barry Edwards, a Democratic political consultant, and Zach Anderson, the political editor of the Herald Tribune. Let's start, folks, with what happened this week with the VA secretary who is out. He was a holdover from the Obama administration. And Joe, I don't quite get in terms of why the president removed him. Was it over the privatization issue or over some of the stories about the secretary's travel abroad?
Listen, we hired the president to make decisions. Sometimes they're tough decisions, and I think, listen, he campaigned hard for the veterans, and I think he wants to do everything he can, and he said it in that speech on Thursday where he said he didn't think things were moving fast enough. He wants the veterans to get the care that they deserve, the care that they need, and listen, you're fired. I mean, as Apprentice Show will tell you that, listen, what, though? If you, I don't think he said it. It's not, things are not moving fast enough. He wants the veterans to get the best care in the country, regardless if it's at the VA hospital, if they want the decision to go to their own private doctor, they should be able to make those decisions. And at the end of the day, Donald Trump makes things happen, and he wants people to move. And listen, if you're on his team and you don't agree with him, and you are not moving at the pace that he wants you to move, he's going to replace you with somebody who will do it. And I think that the president is what he's doing. He's doing exactly what he said he would do in the campaign, and that's do everything he can for the veterans of this great country.
Barry, is it clear that veterans want the VA to be privatized?
Veterans don't want the VA to be privatized. They like the facilities that they have. We have the C.W. Bill Young facility in Pinellas County, and that was named after Bill Young, who, like the congressman above him, Mike Miller-Rackus, they totally championed. They would go to the VA hospitals. Donald Trump does one thing well. He talks a lot. But he didn't give a reason why he fired. He probably didn't even fire him in person. He didn't even fire his national security advisor in person. He did it by telephone when they're only 100 feet away. But I don't care about the past. I want to care about what's moving forward. He hired somebody that he liked, that was not competent for the job, that nobody on the right or the left thinks has the credentials to run an organization with 345,000 employees, the second largest department in the government.
Zach,
that's the problem.
This is a sensitive issue around here because we have so many veterans living on the Suncoast and in the greater Tampa Bay area. Is this an issue that is important to them that they vote on, and what do they make of basically the White House doctor taking over such a huge bureaucracy?
You're right, there are a lot of veterans around here, and it's a very important issue to veterans, and I think it's one that the White House is probably going to tread carefully with because, you know, even though the VA has gotten a lot of criticism over the years about wait lists and the quality of care and their efforts to improve the system there, it still is an issue. It's an institution that veterans care a lot about. They want to get their care, in a affordable manner, and if you start talking about privatization, that can turn some people off. You know, you saw what happened when George W. Bush was talking about privatizing Social Security. There was a big backlash to that. So I bet that this is an issue that they're going to wade into with some sensitivity here going forward.
Barry, as I said at the outset, the president's approval ratings are ticking up to about 41%. That's pretty low compared to other presidents at this point in their. But there's been so much negative coverage from the Stormy Daniels situation, from the continuing Russia investigation to the chaos in terms of who's coming and going from the White House. Why do you think the numbers are up?
Well, let's put this in perspective. They're up 1 or 2 points, but there's been a range of 41 to 40 or 40 to 43%, I think, for his approval, and on the disapproval from 53 to 56. So it either goes up or down within the 3-point range. This is all margin of error stuff. So he's really not that. They're not really ticking up that much.
Joe, are you somewhat surprised, given everything that's been in the headlines over the last couple of weeks and months, that I know you support the president, but you know some of the stuff has been basically, you know, kind of, we're not talking about the president's agenda. We're talking about porn stars and playmates and Russia.
And it's funny that the Ds are relying on these porn stars and these sideshows to be their main spokespeople now. The problem is if we relied on polls, Donald Trump would not have won the election. I think at the end of the day, Americans will understand, look at what Trump has already accomplished in a short period of time. All these regulations gone, the economy is booming, it's humming. Listen, North Korea just recently said that they're going to come and talk. Listen, Donald Trump is doing so many different things on so many different levels for America, and I think at the end of the day, by the time he gets up for re-election, I think Americans will overwhelmingly put him back in because he has had so much success. Unfortunately, some of these other issues, yes, people don't like it. Listen, my wife doesn't like to see this stuff on TV all the time, but it's that consistent hammering by the left-wing media out there. I think 98% of all news is against Donald Trump, and it's a concerted effort to take him out.
Obviously, we're just getting warmed up, and we'll have much more on the Week in Washington right after we check the First Alert weather. Stay with us.
Florida Studio Theater presents Blue Suede Shoes, celebrating the birth of rock and roll. From the father of rock and roll, Chuck Berry, to the king himself, Elvis Presley, this musical review features such great hits as Rock Around the Clock, Mustang Sally, Johnny Be Good, and of course, Blue Suede Shoes. Critics are calling Blue Suede Shoes a burst of rock history, dynamic and high voltage. Audiences are calling it phenomenal. Blue Suede Shoes has been held over by popular demand. Tickets can be purchased by calling 941-366-9000 or by visiting floridastudiotheater.org.
Everyone's buzzing about Suncoast View.
I like watching the Suncoast View.
I like the Suncoast View.
The cooking segments, I love the recipes. The theater segments are terrific.
Join Stephanie Roberts, Linda Carson, and special guests on Suncoast View for hot topics, everyday issues, celebrities, food, fashion, fitness, and everything in between. Nothing is off limits.
They're just fun.
For smart, fun talk in the afternoon, watch Suncoast View, weekdays at 4 on ABC7.
I'm Deshauna Barber. In 2016, I was proud to win the title of Miss USA. What makes me just as proud is my service in the U.S. military. In the service, a soldier gains skills and learns values like discipline and leadership. That makes them an asset to any business that hires them. If you're an employer, on behalf of Coalition to Salute America's Heroes, remember to hire smart and bet on a vet. Visit saluteheroes.org or call this number to learn more.
Thanks to all of you who participated in ABC7's Caribbean Cruise Giveaway Contest. Join us as we celebrate our grand prize winner, Joyce Fakowski of Northport. Married for 13 years in June, Joy and her husband, Don, are excited to celebrate their anniversary on a spectacular 7-night luxury Caribbean cruise for 2. Congratulations, Joy and Don. Bon voyage. ABC7, we're here for you.
If you take a look at the time lapse from our Lakewood Ranch Cam, kind of tells the story of the thickening clouds this afternoon, just getting thicker and lower as the cold front approaches us from the north. And we're going to see about a 30% chance of showers overnight. Not heavy rain, not a lot of it, but it's kind of a big shift from the weather we've had for quite a long time. 70 right now over Sarasota Bay, and you can still see this live image, a little glow there in the west. It looks like the sun is peeking through in some spots of that cloud deck. The humidity's up, dew point is 69, which is pretty humid, and you kind of feel it in the air. A high this afternoon, 81. Last night's low, 62. You can see warmer than normal on both counts. A record low, 41, set back in 1955. I'm showing these astronomical figures because a lot of people celebrate Easter sunrise service. That will be about 7:21 on Sunday morning, 7:21, 7:22. But we could have some clouds around. And Easter starts in about 20 minutes from now, 25, at 7:47 at sunset. And the moon will rise at 7:10, or it rose at 7:10. And it's a blue moon rising over the sun coast. A blue moon is the second full moon in the month, and because we didn't have one in February, we're getting 2 in March, and it's actually the second blue moon of 2018. It's a very rare occurrence. It'll be the fullest tomorrow morning about 8:37. That means tomorrow, 12 hours later, it should be just about as full as you're going to see it tonight. So if you can see it through the clouds tonight, that is our second full moon of the month, the blue moon. Here's the front coming in from the north, and you see a lot of clouds stretching out there, and we have a strong subtropical jet blowing over northern Florida along that, but there's no severe weather, there's no heavy rainfall, and in fact you can see the front just kind of diminishing in coverage as it approaches us. And look at it, it's just falling apart. That's why we only have the 20 to 30% chance of showers. Might not even make it to Tampa Bay with much less the sun coast. From coast to coast, well, the western two-thirds of the nation under high pressure, so they should have a decent Easter weekend. Up north, it's snowing in the Dakotas and into Minnesota, very cold too, and the rain that's along the Atlantic coast will move offshore, and tomorrow and Sunday should be decent. Maybe the Easter parade in New York City will have some fair skies. 62 at New York City right now, 63 in Atlanta, Dallas 71. Beautiful weather out in California, San Francisco right now 75 degrees. Let's examine the futurecast in our RPM computer model showing the front coming through tonight without a lot to it, but it's going to deposit a lot of moisture over the state. As this front goes stationary, the moisture is going to stay in place, and any heating of the day or little sea breeze fronts could cause some little outbreaks of showers and thunder showers in the afternoon and evening hours tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday as well. But we should see more sunshine on Sunday than we see today. Here's my forecast for tonight. It'll be mostly cloudy with a 30% chance of showers coming in. Our low temperature is 64, westerly winds turning to northerly when the front passes, and for tomorrow, a mostly cloudy day. I mean, let's face it, that's pretty much mostly cloudy with a 20% chance of showers. The sun's going to peek in and out every once in a while, I think. High of 82. And here's your 7-day outlook, showing the next 2 days are the only 2 things we're going to talk about in the weather, because after the 20% chance of showers ends on Sunday, we go dry and mild day to day, very little change in temperature. This is what the snowbirds are leaving behind. See you next season. Alan will be back with his guest right after these words. Please stay with us.
Here's something we bet you didn't know. Nearly half of all cancers can be prevented. That's right, half. Nearly 50%, mostly by making small everyday changes in your diet and controlling your weight, walking more, eating less, and eating foods that help you and your family to seriously reduce the risk of cancer. And of course, by not smoking. Visit the Cancer Prevention Together We Can website and get a free 30-day planner filled with tips, recipes, stats, and more about protecting your family. Go to prevent50.org.
Growing up, my mom was afraid of the water, something she did not want me to feel.
So I enrolled Missy in swim lessons.
It changed my life.
Missy Franklin.
And now you can do the same for someone that you love.
There's nothing more precious than your child's well-being.
So act now, before it's too late.
Make us swim! I'm glad I did.
Thanks, Mom. Visit usaswimmingfoundation.org to find, get, or give a swim lesson.
Hi, I'm Janelle Hale, founder and CEO of the National Breast Cancer Foundation. No one should face breast cancer alone. When I was diagnosed 36 years ago, there was no internet, and I had to make a decision with little information. Early detection saved my life. It could save yours too. To learn what every woman needs to know about breast cancer, visit nbcf.org/hope.
What to expect when you're expecting a teenager.
Today we're talking about how to wake up your teen, and this works literally every time.
Give kisses. Give kisses. You heard how loud
I heard. It wasn't you. Yeah. It was the...
Is that bacon?
You don't have to know it all to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Once you get atrial fibrillation, you need to have a very close relationship with your primary doctor. Prevention is the whole ball game here, because once you have a stroke, you can't undo it. A year without stroke, it's a year that you can enjoy doing the things that you've worked all your life to finally get to do. You took care of yourself. You did what is necessary for you to be around one more year. And then next year, we'll celebrate one more year without a stroke.
Welcome back. We are talking about the week in Washington, and joining us for more are State Representative Joe Gruters, who co-chaired the president's campaign in Florida, Barry Edwards, a Democratic political consultant, and Zach Anderson, political editor of the Herald Tribune. Joe, the president mostly stayed out of sight this week, but he did go out yesterday and he did give this speech, and he said something curious, and he also tweeted something curious, and that was he showed pictures of the border wall going up. He also spoke about it. Let's take a look.
We started building our wall. I'm so proud of it. We started. We have 1.6 billion. And we've already started. You saw the pictures yesterday. I said, what a thing of beauty.
Fact check. The pictures that the president voted, that showed on Twitter was not the border wall going up. It was a construction project that has been in the works for years. It's one thing to support a border wall, but why would you put up photographs and say something to a national audience that simply is not true?
Well, his border wall is going up. That may not have been the exact picture.
Construction has not started.
They did the prototypes. I think they picked the first couple. It is getting started. It is underway.
Why not say so?
And we need to do everything we can to make sure our borders are safe. Listen, all these illegal drugs, all these kids that are dying from drugs, illegal drug use, it's flowing through the border in illegal ways, and we have to protect our country.
So why not say so, but not say that these are pictures of our border wall going up when it is not?
And I think it may have been it may have been an error. I think what happens is, listen, the president obviously isn't on the border looking. I think people are doing a lot of these things. Yeah, and exactly. And he looked at actual prototypes that were going up. I think what he's doing is, I think he relied on staff. Somebody sent him a picture, and as a result, he sent the wrong picture. But listen, he did look at the prototypes. They did pick some. This whole thing is underway. The wall will be built, and it's going to be paid for by Mexico.
Okay.
Barry?
Shame, shame, shame. My mother told me that a half lie, a half truth is a full lie. And everything you just said about Donald Trump is a full lie.
No, it's...
Number one, he doesn't rely on staff because he keeps firing his staff. Number two, he knew exactly what he was talking about. Mexico has said they're not going to pay. And our own people in the State Department under Rex Tillerson said they're not going to pay.
Tillerson's gone.
Okay, well...
They're going to pay.
Okay, Mexico's not going to pay. There's nobody that thinks that in D.C. Nobody
One way or the other, they will pay.
And if we're so concerned about all the drugs coming in, how come the Florida legislature, which you sit in, the Republican Party, took the $27 million and passed through and the $25 million before, when every single day since Parkland, every single day in Florida, 16 people in the state of Florida have died of opioid.
And you know what we've done?
How come we haven't done anything about that?
Let's stay on topic for one second. And Zach, let me ask you this. When the president says something like that and tweets something like that, does that resonate with anyone here on the Suncoast?
Well, I think the border wall is important to a lot of his base, and after the Stormy Daniels and all the talk about that, he's probably trying to change the subject a little bit, remind his base of that he's trying to deliver on some of his promises. There was this spending bill that went through recently, $1.3 trillion, and he was stung a little bit in it because he didn't get as much as he wanted for the border wall, and he did get some money for it, but it wasn't nearly enough to build the entire wall. And so he's probably trying to save face a little bit here and talk about how we're getting started with this even if we can't do the whole thing.
Barry, a new poll came out this week, and I know that you don't like talking about polls, but on the other hand, on the generic ballot, the lead that the Democrats have in terms of who voters want to control Congress, the Democrats still lead, but it is down significantly.
The average is down to 6.7.
How do you explain that?
Well, you do have a little fluidity. And for whatever reason, after the Stormy Daniels story on 60 Minutes, his numbers went up and his disapproval went down. I don't know why. Maybe Republican voters like base behavior. I don't think they do. But I think that's all kind of within a margin. But the one thing going for Trump is that he inherited a great economy from President Obama. And, you know, the kinks have been worked out. There's surge in reemployment. People that have been out of the workforce for years are coming back in. So he's getting the credit for that, which is interesting, where, you know, he never gave any credit to Barack Obama after 8 years, but he takes all the credit immediately.
Joe, quick question, then I want to turn to subjects. But number one, do you believe that the Republicans are in danger of losing control of the Congress? And number two, if that happened, could that actually benefit for the president? Because after all, it would give him an enemy out there that he could rail against and campaign against.
No, because unfortunately in D.C., if we were to lose the House, we really lose our opportunity to govern. And it's it's hard enough now when we don't have 60 senators, but if we were to lose the House too, it's going to make it almost impossible for the president to get his agenda move forward. So I think we are in danger of losing it, but what I'm hopeful is that people will see. I think Obama helped a little bit with the economy, but I think it's Donald Trump's policies, the fact that he's cut so many regulations, where the African American and minority employment is at record highs. And listen, the economy is booming, I think, because you have somebody that's interested in helping the overall economy. People want people to be employed and be good providers for their children. And I think Donald Trump is doing an amazing job.
Another poll came out this week showing that most Americans say that the tax cut they got in December has not really done much to improve the conditions of their wallets.
Okay, so we're talking about tax cuts right now. Listen, I'm a CPA. I'm doing taxes all day, every day. And so basically, a lot of tax cuts are through the W-2. So they're saying, some people are saying 30, 50, 100 bucks per pay period in their wallets. It may not be a lot to some, but listen, it's a dinner, it's something else they could do. But a lot of people, I will tell you that I've seen it go from anywhere from a $100 difference to a $10,000 difference. And for people that struggle and that live paycheck to paycheck, every dollar counts, and you can't discount it. And the people that do discount it, obviously, if they don't need the money, they could certainly continue to give it through other means.
And based on things like the fundamentals of the economy, which is booming. I mean, we're getting close to 3% growth, which is pretty high. You know, tax cuts, people like that. They were able to get those through Congress. You would think that the GOP would be doing better on these generic ballot tests and others. And what that says is that people are not necessarily looking at things like the fundamentals of the economy. They're looking more at the president's personality. He is obviously very polarizing, and he has continued to be polarizing throughout his presidency, and that is really what's driving a lot of the political narrative right now.
And it's because the press and the national news cycles continue to focus on the garbage rather than focusing on what's important to people.
I always want to ask this question. Is it the fact that the networks and the newspapers are focusing on negative things about the president, or is the president doing things that are inexplicable, sometimes not truthful, and sometimes you look at the comings and goings from the White House and people are wondering, is there chaos in the White House?
If that was the case, then you would have had a lot more about Bill Clinton, and it shows you, like the New York Times said, that attack somebody based on this stuff is inexcusable. But then
the turnover in the White House under Bill Clinton was not as rapid as it was here.
We're talking about the negative image by the news media on a presidential person. 96% of the stuff that comes out is negative.
News week. We're talking about a slow news week, and he fired his VA secretary, which is a hugely important position.
Because he wasn't doing his job.
In the administration, we're dealing with the backlash of the Stormy Daniels interview. It was, it was the Wall Street Journal that dug up this payment to Stormy Daniels from Trump's lawyer. So it's not like the Wall Street Journal is some liberal entity. I mean, these issues are legitimate issues, and they continue to come up in this presidential administration.
And if Trump was a good manager, and first of all, I like to see all these regulations that you say have been rolled off. Most of them haven't been rolled off, but if you look at like the Department of Treasury, there's 41, 43 deputy secretaries, he's filled like a third of them. You can't govern a bureaucracy of 3-4 million people without managers.
And a lot of that
it shows you that he doesn't know how to manage.
I want to turn to a state issue. Marco Rubio saying this week, after it was announced that Governor Rick Scott is going to be announcing his candidacy for U.S. Senate against Democrat Bill Nelson. Marco Rubio saying he will not campaign against Bill Nelson. As a Republican, State Representative, what's your reaction to that, Joe?
Huge mistake. I think people like Senator Rubio. I think I understand from serving in a body, you know, it's hard to attack somebody you serve with on a daily basis, that you work with on united things where you're trying to do good for our state. But at the end of the day, Rick Scott is probably one of the best governors Florida ever had. And I think the opportunity to put a man like him in the United States Senate, I think he could have a tremendous impact. And I think Marco Rubio needs to do everything he possibly can to help our great governor take that seat.
Again, Zach, does that mean anything to people around here?
I'm not sure. There might be some Republicans who are a little bit annoyed at Rubio over that, but the reality is that Rubio and Nelson have to maintain a good relationship. Their job is to represent the state of Florida together, and they need to work as a team to do that. And if you're campaigning against somebody and attacking somebody, you're not necessarily doing the people's work for the state of Florida.
We know that Republicans, 91% of Republicans, even in Alabama, that turned out to vote, voted for Roy Moore. So we know Republicans vote for Republicans and Democrats vote for Democrats. So Republicans that come out in this election in November are going to vote for Rick Scott. The Democrats are going to vote for Bill Nelson. And it's all going to come down to the enthusiasm of Democrats, whether they turn out or not.
All right, we have to take a quick break, and we'll be back for final thoughts in 1 moment.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes? B, console her?
Don't worry, sweetie. This is gonna happen a lot.
Or C, find her a new boyfriend?
Nice, single boys. That was weird.
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
In life after the military, it's our duty as veterans to have each other's back. I'm retired Colonel Greg Gatson, and it's my mission to help you get the benefits and services you've earned. If you need to file a VA claim, remember these important steps. Submit an online claim through ebenefits.va.gov. Work with an accredited Veterans Service Organization, or VSO. And if you need to attend a VA claim exam, please go. Visit this website to learn what to expect.
Stay connected to your clients and new customers using ABC7 Digital Media Services. Our team of professionals provide a wide array of digital services to help you get the most out of your website. We specialize in building and helping you maintain the most effective digital solutions for your business. It's vital that your online presence stands out, so our experts will equip you with the best resources available. Trust ABC7 Digital Media Services to give you the right tools to grow your business.
Everything all right?
Actually, you know how Tom had knee surgery?
Sure.
We found out Brad's been taking his painkillers. And it turns out he's been doing it for a while.
Most people don't know what to say about drugs, but we do. Visit us at drugfree.org.
Enjoy some of the best Suncoast restaurants on me. Just go to mysuncoast.com/dining, sign up for the newsletter if you haven't already, and you can win a $50 gift card to a restaurant in our area. We'll pick a winner each week, so go on our website and sign up now.
And our guests join us right now for final thoughts. And I want to stay on another local issue, and also, on the other hand, it's an issue involving Marco Rubio coming out and endorsing Julio Gonzalez, the state representative in the race for the 17th Congressional District to replace Tom Rooney. The U.S. Senator Marco Rubio getting involved in the Republican primary, endorsing Gonzalez over Greg Steube. Were you surprised by that, Joe?
I actually think it will make a difference, but I think it will make a difference for Greg Steube. I think the base is not overly excited for Marco Rubio right now, especially with what he said about the governor and not helping him. And talk about having to play. Senator Rubio will have to play with the next congressman, just like he plays with the senator, for him to stay out of the race against Nelson, but for him to get involved in this congressional race. I think it's a big mistake. I think it will. I think both candidates could use it equally to their advantage. But at the end of the day, I think it's a wash. No matter what.
Zach, two questions. Number one, do you agree with that? And number two, how unusual was this?
It is unusual for, high-level, lawmakers in one party or the other to get too involved in primaries, but not unusual in this case because Rubio and Gonzalez, they're both of Cuban descent. They have a relationship that goes back for years. Rubio actually endorsed Gonzalez in his state House race in 2014 and cut television ads for him that very much probably helped him win his primary. What it says is this is going to be a blockbuster race. Greg Steube got into this race and he rolled out a long list of endorsements, a lot of the leading GOP figures in the region. I think he was trying to scare off opponents. Gonzalez got in anyway, and he's got this big endorsement in his back pocket now, and if Rubio actually campaigns for him and does some advertising, it could really help him a lot.
Barry, let me ask you this. With the 17th Congressional District, it has been in Republican hands for, I don't know when the last time a Democrat was in there, in this congressional district, but in this year, when we keep on hearing blue tidal wave, blue tsunami, why isn't there a high-profile Democrat in this race in particular?
Because there's ranges. Everything comes down to each district, and this district is beyond the tsunami. So you could have, they've got like a 100-foot seawall, and even if the tsunami gets up to 90 foot, it's going to fall short. So the Democrats have a finite amount of resources, and so they have to pick and choose. They can try to go after seats like Corbello, I think, down in Miami.
And Vern Buchanan.
Right. Well, Vern Buchanan's seat's probably not into play either, I don't think.
Well, the Democrats don't seem to think so.
Well, but the Democrats say that every year and they lose by 10 or more points, so I think that's...
All right, we have to leave it there, gentlemen. Thank you very much. But before we go, we want to share with you what some of you said about last night's show about the human remains found off of Manasota Key. Researchers are investigating a 7,000-year-old Native American burial ground off of Manasota Key. It's a quarter of a mile off the coast, and human remains have been found there. We went to Facebook to hear what some of you had to say. And Nikki says, bothersome, digging through graves. Rest in peace. But Barbara says it's incredible listening to the archaeologist describing it tonight. It's amazing that it survived over 7,000 years and the remains were still well preserved. Fascinating story. Well, if you'd like to join the conversation on tonight's topic, just visit our Facebook page at facebook.com/mysuncoast.com.abc7. And FYI, you can watch past discussions on demand. They're available on Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and Roku. And for the latest on local breaking news, don't forget to download the updated version of our app. If your current app doesn't work, it's expired, just go to the App Store and re-download it by searching for WWSB or My Suncoast. We want to thank all our guests for being here tonight. State Representative Joe Gruters, who co-chaired the president's campaign in Florida, Barry Edwards, a Democratic political consultant, and Zach Anderson, political editor of the Herald Tribune. When we return, we'll have a final look at your first alert weather, plus our primetime headlines. Stay with us.
This is the story of a boy who is very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. It made him feel uncomfortable. One day, he found out he had something called autism. His family got him help. And slowly, he learned how to live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
I love taking care of my mom. It wasn't easy at first. She learned how to better communicate her needs.
And you learned how to not ignore yours.
I discovered how to make healthier meals.
And I discovered how much I enjoyed them.
Becoming a caregiver is a learning experience for everyone. Find articles, tips, and tools from experts and others who have been in your place. The Caregiving Resource Center at aarp.org/caregiving.
We're losing exotic animals on a daily basis, and the ones that we have in captivity are really the ambassadors for their wild counterparts. I'm Clayton Rozier from the Big Cat Habitat and Gulf Coast Sanctuary, housing over 150 exotic animals that needed a great home. And if you love animals, please help them. Do it locally. Support your local no-kill shelters, your local wild animal sanctuaries. Make a difference where you can.
Well, Paso has just started at sunset at 7:46, and the clouds are thickening over the Suncoast as a front approaches from the north. It's going to bring us a chance of showers overnight, and other than that, it's going to be a decent weekend if you don't mind a little bit of cloudiness tomorrow and hit and miss showers mainly overnight tonight. Currently at the airport, it is 74 degrees, dew point 69. That's getting a little moist for me, a little humid. Humidity is 85% with south-southwest winds coming in off the Gulf at 8 miles per hour, hence the higher humidity. Highs over the state today pretty much in the 80s. Melbourne looks like the warm spot with 87 degrees, 72 at Tallahassee, and 73 at Pensacola. Across our viewing area, almost uniformly 80 to 85 degrees. Punta Gorda yesterday was a hot spot for the state. It was a hot spot here too, 86 in our viewing area. Here is the approaching cold front, now stretched across Florida, and we look in the IR images from our GO-16 satellite showing all that cloudiness streaming across us. But the rain associated with this front is diminishing in coverage very quickly, as we predicted it would. Look at this, just in the last 4 or 5 hours, it's just dissipating, and it may not even make it to Tampa Bay, much less the Suncoast. Look at this, just off Pinellas County, it's just woof. Just like vanishing. And only a 20-30% chance tonight and tomorrow and early Sunday, maybe Sunday afternoon, we could see some showers. That's about it. It's kind of a rainy night in New York City and across New England, but skies will clear for them. They'll have a fair Easter, I believe, good for the Easter parade and other outdoor activities. But it's snowing in North Dakota. Bismarck getting some snow in UP of Michigan and northern Wisconsin as well. And across the nation from coast to coast, 75 is the current temperature at San Francisco, 87 in Phoenix. They're going to have the warm weather for a few days. 70 at Dallas, 69 at Raleigh-Durham. Here's our futurecast from the RPM in-house model showing the progression of this front and what it thinks it's going to do. Look, it has it under control. It shows the dissipating showers very quickly this evening. But as this front stalls out, it's leaving moisture in place. And like we get in the summer, when the sun beats down on that moisture, it could build up into showers, maybe a thunder shower, or a little sea breeze front could happen. So any dynamics in the atmosphere could create afternoon and evening showers, not only for Saturday afternoon, but Sunday as well, as that front just wobbles around over South Florida. On the beach tomorrow, and it might be a little rough to go boating tomorrow with north-northeast winds 5 to 10, seas 2 to 3 feet, and it's going to be choppy on bay and inland waters. And for the beach temperature tomorrow, 79 with lots of clouds. A UV index at best will be 9, warm but breezy, water temperature 73, and warming by the day. Here's my forecast for tonight. 30% chance of showers with lots of clouds, a low of 64. And tomorrow, look at all those clouds streaming over the Suncoast. 20% chance of showers, 82 for the high temperature. And here's your 7-day, showing that once that 20% chance dissipates on Sunday, we will be dry and mild with no change in day-to-day weather pattern as we move into April. Jacqueline will be back in just a couple of minutes with primetime headlines. Stay tuned.
Since 1972, Sleep King has provided quality mattresses and accessories at the best discounted prices available. Top brands like Simmons, Sealy, Serta, Beautyrest, iComfort, and more. With available free delivery, free financing, and free setup and removal. For a comfortable night's sleep with same-day delivery, even if we have to carry it on our backs. Trust Sleep King of Sarasota. Buy it today, sleep on it tonight.
Ever since I can remember, I've been intrigued by industrial design and the optimization.
Wait, that's passion? Ever since I can remember, my passion has been industrial design. We need 3D printers for Miss Adams' engineering program so that we are ready to solve 21st century challenges.
Impressive. Think It Up is a new initiative to support student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classroom today? Think It Up.
The thought of my sons growing up without me inspired me to quit smoking.
I talked to my doctors, and then I threw away all my cigarettes, ashtrays, and lighters.
I started exercising instead of smoking.
Letting my friends online know I was quitting kept me on track.
Staying away from alcohol when I was first quitting was key.
I kept on trying, learned something each time.
Do whatever it takes.
No matter how many times it takes.
We did it. You can too.
For free help, visit cdc.gov/tips.
Northland Outdoors is about so much more than the biggest fish or the hottest hunting spots. All across the Northland, there are amazing people with incredible stories to tell. We're going to find those stories and share them with everyone.
Join us each and every week as we explore the Northland and experience some of the most exciting outdoor adventures in the country right here in our own backyard. This is Northland Outdoors.
There was this big bruise on my friend's face. I didn't want to see it. I didn't want to think her own nephew could have hit her.
I didn't want to see it. My mother's bank account was emptied, and a caregiver had taken control of it.
I didn't want to see it. My father's refrigerator, there was hardly anything in it. That's unusual for him.
It's tough to see that a senior citizen is being abused, physically, emotionally, sexually, or financially. Elder abuse is a crime.
So see the signs, stop the crimes.
Checking in on primetime headlines, another member of the Trump administration coming under fire for questions of financial impropriety. This time it is EPA Administrator Scott Pruitt. There is word that Pruitt lived in a condo co-owned by a top energy lobbyist whose husband had business before the EPA. It's a lot to unpack, and ABC's Lana Zach has the latest from inside the White House.
The Inspector General of the EPA was already looking into Administrator Scott Pruitt's travel expenses and the reports that he spent nearly $50,000 on a soundproof phone booth for his office. But the latest revelations and allegations about his housing arrangement have at least one member of Congress calling on him to step down.
Democratic Congressman Don Beyer demanded EPA Administrator Scott Pruitt resign over his failure to disclose a rental deal tied to an energy lobbyist. Representative Beyer writing, Pruitt must resign. If he refuses to do so, he should be fired immediately. Pruitt lived in this Capitol Hill condo co-owned by lobbyist Vicky Hart. Her husband, J. Stephen Hart, is the chairman of lobbying firm Williams & Jensen, which lobbies the EPA on policies like the Clean Air Act. Similar condos in this building rent for $5,000 a month. But Pruitt paid just $50 a night, totaling $6,100 over the course of 6 months. ABC News has learned exclusively that last March, Pruitt's security detail broke down the door to the condo.
They say he's unconscious at this time.
It's unclear what led to the panic that caused the response, and a source says the EPA reimbursed Hart for the damage. This is not the first time Pruitt's finances have come under fire. The White House responded earlier this month to questions about his and other cabinet members' spending.
The president has said he takes spending taxpayer dollars very seriously. All of those individual secretaries' travel and other are under review.
A spokesperson for the EPA said that Pruitt only used one bedroom, but now two sources have confirmed to ABC News that at one point Pruitt's daughter also used the second bedroom. And Democratic Senator Sheldon Whitehouse is also calling on the Inspector General to review reports about Pruitt's use of his taxpayer-funded security detail for private trips. Reporting from the White House, Lana Zach, ABC News.
I'm Jacqueline Matter. Thanks for joining us and have a great night.